What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Yep, by now it's 2024. You've set all those goals. You're starting to eat healthier. You're starting to work out. You're starting to save more money. You're starting to spend less money, right? Isn't that what we do for the new year? Anyways, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode, a brand new year of The Brief. This is 2024, coming to you live here from San Diego. For those of you that might be their first time checking me out, my name is Kenny Simpson. If you didn't know, I focus on 1 to 4 unit financing for people that want to buy or refinance. So if it's something I can help you with, answer questions, you want to chat, hit me up. For those of you that have watched me over and over, I appreciate the support, appreciate the feedback, love you guys. I'm excited about a new year. And we have lots to get into today. I think before I jump in, and obviously we go over the inventory, the rates and what's going on there, just want to kind of back up is, look, we have come out of 23 was definitely probably going to go down as one of the tougher years for people in the real estate business, whether you're a lender, commercial, broker, loan officer, escrow, title, appraiser, any whatever, commercial, the whole thing. It was definitely a tough year. Financially, it's tough for a lot of people. Look, if you have a business and it's down 50%, 70%, 30%, 20%, all that, yeah, you're sitting here going, holy smokes, imagine you running your business at that. It's been very, very tough. We also had a Fed that's been way over hawkish, that hiked way too much. And obviously they gave us a little, president of the year, finally just chilling out, but still haven't pivoted because obviously the rates are still high. They haven't cut. They signaled they're going to cut 3 times. So 23 was an interesting year, but going into 24, there's a lot more confidence. There's a lot more confidence in probably businesses because they realize the Fed's going to cut rates. So that's good for them. I think there's going to be less confidence in a consumer. If you ask me, I think their credit card's high. Their debt's high, their savings is lower, they still have jobs, they still have that income, but they're just not buying at the same buying power as they did coming out of the pandemic. And I think we're all realizing that. And what I kind of realized with 2024, it's kind of like we're going back to normal. So 2024 is like normal to me, meaning, short-term rentals take here in San Diego. They're just a little bit slower. And everybody's so used to man, it's been booming. That was not normal. That's because people are locked up. They came out. So it's a little bit more normal. To rent up apartments, it's always slower fall, winter. It's a little bit more slower. So we're seeing things that I've noticed that are historically or depending on the time of the year, they're just, busy or not. I mean, and obviously it's like housing, when we come into spring, summer, that is the busy time. The Feds are supposed to cut sometime, maybe spring, summer. Interest rates are supposed to go down spring, summer. I mean, we had a huge pullback. We were at, 8.5%. Rates came down to 6.5%. The 10-year treasury, this is up a little bit, but you guys got to remember, just as the 10-year treasury went to 5, it also came back down to 385, and that was an overshoot of 5. That was probably an undershoot of 385, maybe almost 370. So that also was odd to deal with that. So on top of that is we've got the 10-year treasury here, and your 30-year fixed rate, and the spread between those is still really wide. I mean, let's be honest, interest rates today, if the spread was more normal, just closer to normal, we'd be at a point lower in rates. So we'd be at a 5.5 and a 30-year fix. So hopefully 2024, we bring down that spread, and those are the big things. So let's jump into, that's kind of what I want to say is just a recap is this year should be a much better year for real estate. If you guys survived and you're in the real estate business, kudos to you. If you're watching this, you're a first-time home buyer, you're a real estate investor, you're wondering what rates are going to do. Will I have my refi opportunity? Will I be able to buy an investor property and get a better return? Or maybe the rates are better. If I'm going to buy a house, is my affordability going to go up? Yes, rates are definitely going to come down. The actual real pivot would be when Powell actually cuts rates for the first time. He has a ways to go on the rate cut, which we'll get into more, but because if you look at where PCE is and where the rate he has, he wants them to be in line. Well, we're not even close to in line. So he has a lot to cut before we even get to where it's going to be noticeable. We're all going to feel it. And so he's going to take a sweet time doing that. And on top of all this craziness, we have wars. We've got, our country cannot balance a budget. Here in California, we cannot balance a budget. But then on top of all this drama and all this stuff that we live in, right, we have an election year. So it's going to be very interesting as we keep plugging along close to November, how much drama, how much stuff's going to change. Will the Fed pivot even more? What they'll do. So it's going to be very interesting how that all turns out. But enough about all that. Let's jump into why you're here. Let's look at the data. and start there. All right, so inventory, as you guys know, what? Inventory is always down in fall, winter. It's always up in spring, summer. We go over this every time. Best time to historically always buy a property is fall, winter. Why? Because there's less competition. Buy a house or sitting on the market typically longer. And the worst time to buy is spring, summer. Why? Because there's more competition. And you're gonna probably overpay because you got outbid. Even though in places like San Diego here, there's still some houses that are having bidding wars and stuff like that. In other places too around the nation, some more than others. Why? Because there's just no inventory. Who's the sellers right now? The real people that are selling are death, divorce, partner split up, maybe a flight to cash. And if anybody else is selling beyond that, maybe they have to move or something, they are a buyer. So you will start seeing more and more people sell maybe as rates come down, but those are typically going to be buyers. So those sellers are going to be pre-qualified to go buy another house. So that is historically how it works. And there's always the death, divorce, partner split up, flight to cash, those kind of reasons that we always sell. Those are always happening. There's so many trustee sales. It's crazy of how many people are selling. The house is vacant. Somebody passed away or they went into elder facility or something. A lot of those deals are going down right now just here locally across the nation I hear about. So some of the clients I'm dealing with are dealing with that. So 513,000 is basically the inventory nationally, which is way down from when I shot a couple weeks ago, 538. So inventory keeps dropping here in San Diego. We got active 2427 from a couple weeks ago. We're at 2915. So we are coming way down. 196 sold, 103 new listings. So obviously, guys, inventory is down. We know that it's typical, and usually we'll start to see it trend up, getting closer into spring, as that's always the bigger buying season, listing season, and we see inventory kick up. As I mentioned, interest rates have come way down. The 10-year treasuries, I think right under 4.39 change. Interest rates are, they're a little bit lower. Now they're a little bit higher. It's still great. I never thought the 10-year would end up at 3.85. I thought we'd land somewhere around 4.25. And it seems like we're balancing out here after the big rise up in 10-year treasury and then the low of about 3.79 it hit and then rising up. So interest rates are probably going to remain flat, just a little bounce up and down. That's where we're going to sit here unless we get some crazy wild news or something happens. That's where we're going to be at. Remember, we watch things about the economy weekly here. We watch, the housing weekly here. We track things. We watch data. That's how we come up with what we're talking about here. We don't just throw something out there. So we'll continue to watch the data week over week and see what's going on in the economy with consumers, with real estate, with rates, with globally, everything that's going on. We just continue to watch that data. And based on the data is what we talk about and how things are moving in the markets. Markets are obviously quiet this week. A lot of people are back from holidays next week. Kids are still out of school. So it's always a quiet time of the year. A lot of people are getting stuff done, getting caught up. People that are set out that didn't buy last year typically come back around, start talking about getting pre-approvals, getting your credit check. But here's a tip. If you were pre-qualified last year, are you looking to refi? This is a good time. If you're going to go try to buy something Q1 here, you want to hit that lender back up. If you have to get your credit refreshed, refresh those those pay stubs, get those W-2s over to us, get those bank statements over to us. Make sure if there's new interest rates, can you qualify for more? So this is a great time for if you're a first-time home buyer or somebody buying to check back in with your lender, get a refresh on all your docs, all the rates, and have that conversation. Because if you're going to get back in and you're going to start writing offers here, it's a great time to have that conversation. It is a great time if you're going to buy right now. I think you're going to pick up better deals than you will if you wait for spring and summer. So there's lots of predictions, right? Lots and lots of predictions going on right there. And everybody wants to know, what are interest rates going to do? What's housing going to do? Is it going to get more affordable? Is there going to be deals? Is there going to be too much supply? And it's kind of the same old talk where supply is still going to remain an issue because everybody's locked in at the 2 and 3%, right? And even 4s, and the rates even at 6s are not compelling enough to get people to sell. Maybe we start dipping in the 5s, which will be later this year. That would start getting things moving. But a lot of people make predictions, and it's really hard to make predictions about housing. So like I said, what we do here is we just watch what's going on week over week. And a couple things can happen this year that could change things. Number one, is we could get a job loss recession. Remember, data can change like this. A consumer can change like this. Job loss can change like this. So if we got a job loss recession and people did start losing their jobs because the consumer falls off a cliff or things change quickly, which this could happen, it's known to happen, historically it's happened, that basically means that there could be flight to cash and people just to sell to get the cash. So that could loosen up some inventory. But we're still going to be constrained, we think, by inventory issues this year. Interest rates will come down. They could come down lower if we have a job loss recession or the consumer stops or things get worse. That's what we'll continue to watch. And remember, we just watch it. So I don't need to make a prediction of if I think we'll have a recession or this or that. The consumer is definitely, by me talking just to business owners, the coming out of jail, the COVID, the pandemic consumer that spent and, bought all that, the new cars, the new TVs, the new couches, went on the 5 trips and blah, blah, spent all that money. That consumer across the board in every aspect has slowed down. People are just not spending like they were coming out. They don't need to go on. They went from 0 vacations to all the vacations. They bought all the cars, all this. So that is definitely slowed down. So when you talk to business owners, that boom they had, it's definitely come down and they're feeling this normalcy. And that's what we're all giving it. We're kind of getting, like I said, 2024 is getting things back to kind of normal. Hopefully for interest rates, we'll get back to kind of normal. Hopefully for housing, well, I think we had about 4 million purchases in 2023. Hopefully we'll get 4.5, 4.75 this year. It really depends. And could we have a job loss recession? Could we have a recession? Could you have a consumer slowdown? Could you have all these things? Absolutely. But how are we going to know? We just keep watching the data. As the data changes, we'll update you and tell you what that is. And that's how you can make moves depending on that. But definitely for this year, we're definitely expecting more transactions on the purchase and refi, definitely expecting rates to come down. And definitely expecting to have more of a healthy housing market this year and a lot more deals and opportunities for people. Look, there's a lot of first-time home buyers that missed out in the last 3-4 years. They just couldn't get in. They couldn't buy. They weren't ready. So there's millions and millions of you guys sitting out there waiting on the sidelines. So if you are thinking about buying and you have not purchased yet, or you haven't got pre-qualified or talked to anybody yet, look, the first thing you really should focus on is go talk to a lender, because I will tell you right now, there's a lot of first-time home buyers or people that come to us and their income looks good. They got money in the bank or they're going to get a gift and they can afford to buy. The issue is they have a credit issue they didn't know about. So we pull their credit. They go, what is this? There could have been a late, there could have been a collection. There could have been, a medical collection. You basically missed a parking, you got a parking ticket, things like that. So if you're a first time home buyer and you want to go buy this year, I don't care if it's in 6 months, 8 months, go to a lender, go do a soft pull, go get your credit check, go get your income, make sure you're good to go, run the scenarios. So that way, the worst thing you do is get excited, jump out and go get pre-approved because you want to buy it, in a month and you're not ready. Typically, the buying process from when you talk to a lender or talk to an agent to when you actually close 90, 120 days. So I would start the process now. There's no reason to wait. If you're 6 or 8 months out, that's fine. You might be ready to go and you might get more excited and find something. So don't push that off. Jump on it. Be proactive. The first person you should be talking to is definitely a lender. You can talk to a realtor, but no realtor should be showing you homes if you're not pre-approved, and no selling or listing agent is probably going to accept an offer if they know you're not pre-approved, and especially most of them want to talk to the lender you're working with. Okay, so I'm going to my good friend Logan at Housingwire. I'm going to look at his prediction. I did read other predictions. The reason I like Logan is he is 100% focused, lives, breathes, and literally is obsessed with data that has to do with housing, with rates, with the economy. And so he is in our world. And you're listening to this most likely because you're in real estate or housing, you want to know. So I'm going to kind of look at his predictions. We're going to go through his article he wrote on Housingwire. And if you guys are not signed up for Housingwire, you definitely should. Yes, it is a pitch or plug. There's no benefit to me, but it's only to you, especially if you're in our business. You should be checking this out because you're definitely going to give you more confidence in what you're doing and what you're telling clients. So the 10-year and mortgage rate. So the 10-year treasury is about, let's just call it 3.9 today. The range is going to be 4.25 to 3.21. That's it. Could it go lower? Sure. That would probably be with job loss recession or recession. Mortgage rates between 7.25 and 5.75. A key level to watch for the 10-year would be 3.37. To go below this level last year, labor would need to break. So I borrowed the Gandalf, the Gray's catchphrase, "You shall not pass," and the 10-year did not pass that level in 2023. However, the economic data is weaker. We could break through the Gandalf line, which means 2.72 on the 10-year is in play for 20. So basically what we're saying is, guys, is that depending on the job loss recession stuff, the interest rates could significantly drop. We could have 30-year fixes in the 4s and rates could fall off a cliff if there is a job loss recession to stimulate the economy. So rates we're thinking just in the 5s, but they could go lower with a recession. That is, one of the outlooks we're looking at. And keep in mind, obviously, the spread between 10-year, 30-year, whatever, that's still an issue. So the market as far as housing and inventory tightness and, we're kind of have almost the same interest rates as last year. We're definitely looking at housing is single level growth, the minimum, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Some markets are going to feel something different because they maybe have more inventory or people are moving or moving out or moving in. So some might get more growth, some might get less, but the average is saying, whatever, a single digit growth, 2 to 5%, because we're just not going to get the inventory. Builders, the prediction is builders are going to do really well because we're going to get the inventory so they can continue to push out the housing. They can continue to buy down your rate. They can continue to give you all these concessions to push people to buy the new homes. Plus, you can lock them in early and then they can help you out and get you in. So builders, they're not going to probably have competition with a lot of supply still, especially in some markets where they might have more or less, but builders should do pretty good and still have a good year because there just won't be the growth. So if we're going to talk about a recession ending this, jobless claims would break over 223,000 for a 4-week average. We won't talk about a recession today or even next year or even this decade until that happens. The history of economics has shown us, this is Logan's article, that we need the labor market to break to have a job loss recession. If you follow my work, COVID-19, you may know my critical 2 takes on the labor market and household balance sheets are much better than they ever been. When jobless claims break that critical level, we have a good discussion about the economy and how housing market and the housing market, just not yet. If the economy does not have a credit event where lending gets tighter, the consumer should hold up in 2024, especially with lower mortgage rates. This means home builders can sell more homes and keep construction workers employed longer. Falling construction employment is a staple of all job loss recessions. We have had avoided that so far. For 2024, I want to stress that the economic data can turn on a dime, both positive and negative, in ways that weren't the case in previous decades. Following the weekly tracker, it will be essential for the housing market and economy. I track this up daily so you don't have to. The existing home sales market has spent the last 18 months with sales near Great Recession levels. Now it's time for the Fed to give up on its COVID-era housing economic policy and be pro-housing again. It's time to get the U.S. housing off the COVID-19 policy and get sales growing. So that's what I want to see in 2024 from 4 million sales. Logan's predicting 4.75, at least 4.5. We need the Fed to get behind us. They hiked way too long. They rose rates way too high. They did not need to do that. The consumer is definitely slowing down. Talk to business owners. It's chilling out. Inflation is coming down. We now just need interest rates to come down. We need that for businesses. We need that for the commercial market. We need that for residential market. We need that for affordability. We need to get housing going. Remember, people are locked in on one-ish rates, 2-ish rates, 3-ish rates, 4-ish rates. Those people are very, very locked in and they are not incentivized at all to sell or move. Even if they do sell, they might be a buyer, but they might not be a seller. Even if they do buy something else, they might not be a seller. So that's what I got. I'm looking forward to 2024. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys a lot more information. I know this brief is a little bit longer, but I wanted to recap on 2024, to break it down again, to summarize. Remember, we've got an election year. Jerome Powell will cut rates. Will we have a job loss recession or recession? That will be determined. We will keep watching the data. Interest rates, second half of the year should fall off a cliff. I don't know if they'll fall off a cliff, but hopefully if we get a recession, they'll go lower. If you're waiting to buy for rates to go down, expect bidding wars, paying more, and a lot of competition. If you're sitting on a 9, 8, 7% rate, maybe 6%, your time will come soon where you can refi out of that and save some money, which will help your budget, your balance sheet, cut costs, and all that good stuff. If you're in commercial or you're a business owner and you have to refinance this year, debt coming, I hope that we get rates lower and you will you're not going to be able to get the 3% rate you're at, but maybe you will get rates in the 4s and 5s. But otherwise, I think the first quarter of this year will be a little bit sluggish with rates, getting off to a start. And when spring and summer hits, I think we're going to see rates drop. I think we're going to see a crazy lot of buying, a lot of refining, very active season. So if you're sitting on the sidelines and waiting, what are you waiting for? Get pre-approved, talk to a lender, talk to an agent, get out there, see what's going on, see what you can afford. Start getting your mindset into saving your money, cutting expenses, right? Acting like you're a homeowner with what would that mortgage payment feel like? What if you paid that now? What if you set that money aside every month saying, wow, that's what it cost me. Can I afford this? And then, get your mindset if you are going to buy that you might have to pull back on spending and save this year to get in that house and get in there and fix things up, because it is a tremendous investment for most of us to buy a house. But at the end of the day, houses do later on in your life can turn back that equity, whether it's a reverse mortgage or sell it or pass it to your kids. Or obviously, like a lot of people we put on here, they use lines of credit to buy other real estate, to start businesses, to help. One of the jokes I said is true. The lady that had the Barbie movie, the star, her mom used her equity to help her in her Hollywood career. And obviously that lady has made a lot of money and she's paid off all of her mom debt. And now her mom's financially free because she helped her daughter by using her equity in her house. So anyways, guys, welcome back. If you're not back, you're coming back soon. If you're vacationing somewhere, you had a good time. Good to see you. Look forward to see everybody in the coming year. That's it. Let's go. We're getting some cold weather here in San Diego. So we had a great holiday. It's great, beautiful weather here. And I hope to see you guys soon. Talk soon.